Hey, can you still get in shape even if you have chronic pain? You absolutely can. But how many times have you been told, take it easy? If it hurts, don't do it. How many doctors have maybe disempowered you a little bit on what you can actually do to improve your health and have a healthier, strong lifestyle? Today, I'm going to go over 5 things you can do that even if you're dealing with chronic pain, that you can get in great shape, you can get fit, healthy, and strong. I can't tell you how many times in years of practice that I had patients with chronic pain come in that, they kind of felt defeated. They'd been to several different doctors, had these diagnoses thrown at them, maybe even had some imaging that confirmed a bulging disc or some degenerative disc disease. But what does that really mean? What does that really mean when I have an otherwise healthy patient in front of me that I know is capable of doing more, but they've been underserved by their healthcare provider? I think we as healthcare providers need to do a better job of empowering our patients and letting them know that, yeah, you may have some pain here and you may have a diagnosis that, yeah, sure, we have a label to it, but it doesn't mean you can't be healthy. It doesn't mean you can't get fit. It definitely doesn't mean you can't be strong and in shape. So I think first, as healthcare providers, we have to do better. I'd have patients come into the office that were really defeated by their chronic pain. In fact, I was really more taken aback a lot of times, less by their symptoms, but more so by how it affected their activities of daily living, how it affected their quality of life, and how it limited their ability to do things they really wanted to do just because they didn't have any answers. In fact, a lot of times what helped those patients the most was not getting them to another provider or not just adding more and more rehab. It was getting them to a counselor, someone that could talk to them and empower them and let them know that they're not broken. And then they can use these other tools that they've been given by me or other providers to actually get healthy. The first one I want to talk about is just walking. The average American gets about 3,000 to 5,000 steps per day. So about 4,000. Now that's going to vary a little bit depending on the type of work you do, but the average sedentary office worker, desk job is going to get about 3,000 to 5,000 steps. So let's just cut it down the middle and call it 4. One of the best things you can do right away to improve your health is just start taking a 10-minute walk after each big meal. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, get a 10-minute walk in. That's going to, on average, increase your steps by about 3,000 per day because you're going to get an average of about 1,000 steps per 10-minute walk. So now you've just bumped that 4,000 up to 7,000, or maybe you have been getting 5 and that just bumped up to 8. So you're already doing a whole lot better just by putting that little bit of activity in. And the other benefits you get from walking, especially after meals, improved digestion, improved blood glucose regulation. You actually will make the muscles more responsive to insulin, so you can actually drive nutrients into your muscles. So it's even healthier for your muscles to get out and take a walk after you eat. Now, if you just start with those, that's a great starting point. You don't need to go from 4,000 to 15,000 or 20,000. You don't need to do that. In fact, you could be kind of inviting other problems such as foot and ankle injuries and knee and hip pain if you did that big jump. But if you start small and then gradually increase, you can get up to that 10 to 15,000 step, recommendation typically that people have. If you start small, you can always progress yourself up to more steps. 10 to 15,000 will be great. You don't need to add tons of crazy cardio to your routine either. Just get your steps in, especially if you're just trying to start this journey. So the next thing is nutrition. Okay, so nutrition can be pretty broad, and I've tried and failed just about every fad diet you can think of. I've done vegan, I've done Atkins, I've done paleo, I've even done fruitarian. So I think I've tried it all. The one that I would say has helped me the most was paleo, and I think the reason paleo was really beneficial for me and a lot of people I know is that it essentially eliminates a lot of the processed foods or almost all the processed foods that you're going to eat. And so immediately you start to feel better. That inflammation comes down and you start feeling a lot better. What is paleo? It's going to be your meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, even some potatoes in there. And I would include rice, even though that probably wouldn't technically be a paleo food, especially white rice, easily digestible and a great carb source as you're trying to get into other endeavors that we'll talk about later, such as strength training. But nutrition, what are we actually looking for? So I mentioned it earlier, you definitely want to eliminate the processed foods. When you're starting out, you just want to try to clean things up that way. Don't cut your calories. Don't worry about getting in a deficit or anything like that. Eat as much as you want. Just eat good, whole, healthy foods and try to eliminate or significantly cut back those processed foods. You want to prioritize protein. So you want to shoot for about a gram per pound of body weight or per pound of desired body weight. So let's say you're 50 pounds overweight, you're 250 pounds, you want to get down to 200. You're going to shoot for about 200 grams of protein per day in your diet. And that's going to come from meats, eggs, things like that. You can include a protein shake if you need to, especially if you're struggling to hit that number. But yeah, you definitely want to have that protein in your diet so that you can protect lean muscle, so that you can get stronger and add muscle, which is going to overall improve your metabolism and help burn body fat even at rest. I think getting protein is like investing in a bank account. It's going to compound interest and help you significantly, again, especially as we get to strength training. Now, the next thing you want to look at is your fat. Okay, so fat, it's been demonized for a long period of time, but we all know it's important. Fat and protein are the only essential macronutrients that we need. So fat, you don't want to typically go under 50 grams per day because that could start to disrupt some hormone regulation. So you want to make sure you're getting enough fat. Myself, I get about the mid 90s to like 104, 105 per day. And that seems to work well for me. Everybody's different. You're going to have to find that sweet spot for yourself. You may actually prefer a little more carbs than fat, so you can kind of slide and play with the numbers between those two macronutrients, but always leave that protein the same and always hit that protein target. So with fat, you just want to make sure you're getting good, healthy fats. Your olive oil is going to be good. Your, of course, avocados, your omega-3s from like salmon, other types of fish. Eggs, are definitely, eggs are nature's multivitamin, great source of protein and a great source of healthy fats. So once you have your protein and your fats portioned out and you know about what you need on those, you can build out the rest of your calorie budget with good carbs. So like I mentioned, fruits, vegetables, potatoes, white rice, things like that. Just make sure again that we're shooting for more of the whole foods and non-processed foods or unprocessed foods. Now with your nutrition, we're not done yet. One thing you want to make sure that we do is actually find your maintenance. So I would say when you're starting a fitness journey, you've started your walking. Now you know what your protein target and your fat target is, and you're starting to hit those. All right, what do we do now? We want to find our maintenance. So for the first 2 weeks, I actually just want you to eat what you've been eating. So don't change anything in your diet those first 2 weeks. And I want you to track everything. So you can get a MyFitnessPal, you can, there's a lot of different trackers out there you can use, but just track everything you eat for that first 2 weeks, but don't change anything about your diet. We need to get that baseline. So once we find that baseline, let's say you tracked it for 2 weeks, your body weight didn't really change at all or hardly at all, your body fat stayed about the same, then we know that's your maintenance. So we know we can start there. Now, once we find your maintenance, then we can start to put those macronutrients where they need to be. We can make sure that we're getting that appropriate amount of protein, carbs, and fat where they need to be. From there, we're not cutting it. I know you have 50 pounds of fat to lose. I know you have 80 pounds of fat to lose. That doesn't matter. We're not cutting yet. In fact, we may start to bump your calories up. Why? Because of the next thing, which is strength training. Strength training is vitally important when we're on a health journey, when we're on a fitness journey. Now, I know it can be a little bit scary if you're dealing with chronic pain to think about doing resistance training. First thing that comes to mind might be bodybuilding, lifting heavy barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, things like that. And nothing could be further from the truth. Sure, we want to get to those things down the road, but initially what we're going to do is just start with body weight movements. You might be doing a sit to stand from a chair. You might be doing wall squats, wall push-ups, body weight movements, things like that. Mobility is vitally important, but especially early on in the journey, you can use mobility as your strength training. And I can show you in some videos here in the near future on how to incorporate mobility as strength training and how to start to progress your strength training if you're dealing with chronic pain so that you're not left in the dark as to what to do. But definitely strength training is very important. Strength training is vital for longevity. Of course, it's vital for resilience against disease and injuries. Improving your body composition, you lower that risk for chronic disease, and it makes you more capable. Think about, when you're stronger, you are more capable, you're more confident, you move better, you feel better. And, that's extremely important for a fitness journey. So Let's not leave that one out. Very important. And even if you're in chronic pain, you can definitely get stronger. You can definitely strength train. And we will be progressing up to those fun things like barbells, kettlebells, dumbbells. You'll be able to get to those, and you'll be able to get to them a lot quicker than you think. Okay, so the next thing is water, hydration. Now, there's some controversy on how much water we're actually supposed to get. I would say there's probably not a good solid number, but one that I've heard that I do like is about half your body weight in ounces. So if you're 200 pounds, getting about 100 ounces of water in per day, I don't think that's a terrible mark to shoot for. I think half your body weight in ounces is a good starting point. And then you can kind of tweak it from there, up or down, depending on what you need. Generally, when you're in a good, healthy spot, even just going by your thirst is good enough, but just making sure that we're getting that water in. Now, another mistake I might commonly see is a lot of water intake, but not really replacing any electrolytes, especially if we're sweating a lot, it's summertime, we're active, or even that first thing in the morning. One of the most beneficial things we can do is first thing in the morning, getting a liter of water with an electrolyte pack, like an LMNT, some Himalayan sea salt, liquid IV, something like that. But getting that liter of water in with your electrolytes first thing in the morning, because we wake up so dehydrated, phenomenal. And it can give you a really good boost as you get into your day. In fact, I would do that before I even touch caffeine. Give caffeine about a good hour and a half, but get that electrolyte water in early, and you'll notice a big difference. So hydration, yeah, definitely important, especially if we're dealing with chronic pain, especially if we're over 40. We need to hydrate those tissues, and just water alone will not do it. The salt is going to be what gets that hydration into your ligaments, tendons, your joints, your muscles, so that you can feel better overall. And you will notice the difference when you start using the electrolytes. Now, the last thing, but definitely not the least, and it's extremely important, is sleep. Now, you've probably noticed through these 5 steps that it's all pretty basic. And yeah, it is. Fitness is basic. It's simple. Now, it's hard for people. It's difficult. It's not easy, but the principles are simple. So whether you're 14 or 40 or 50, it doesn't really matter. The principles are the same. And this last one, sleep, extremely important. Now, we have tools and gadgets and all kinds of cool things we can do to recover. We have ice baths, we have saunas, foam rollers, massage guns, all kinds of cool things that we can do to recover, but nothing, and I mean nothing, beats sleep. Sleep is still the superhero when it comes to recovery, mentally and physically. When I look at sleep and how to solve that puzzle, because a lot of us sometimes struggle with it, is I look at it twofold. I need to look at what my pre-sleep routine looks like, and then I need to look what my environment is like when I'm going to sleep. So as far as pre-sleep routine, the things that are often recommended, I can't really practice because of how long my days are and what time I get home at night. I get home about an hour before I'm supposed to go to bed. And some of these things require 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. So I'm already kind of behind the 8 ball sometimes on that, but it's okay. I've kind of found a little shortcut that can help, and I'm going to mention that here in just a second. But generally what we want to do is about 2 to 3 hours before bed, we want to be done eating and done drinking, so that we don't have a heavy stomach and we don't have a lot of liquids in us before we go to bed. We're going to fall asleep generally a little bit easier because we don't have a heavy stomach on us, and we're less likely to get up, especially multiple times throughout the night, if we haven't been drinking right up to bedtime. So that's one thing. Now, if you can't do that, like for example, I can't do that, one thing that does help me is now I'll still try to eat and drink as soon as I get home so that I have as much on-ramp time to get to bed. One thing that I have found that does help kind of speed that process up and calm my nervous system down is I'll do some mobility before bedtime, but it's usually just gentle stretching, foam rolling. I'm not doing any real muscle activation at that time. It's just trying to down regulate everything and get ready for bed. And so foam rolling and stretching definitely has helped my sleep, so I suggest you try that. And then now we want to get into the sleep environment. What is our environment like? We want a dark room, so blackout curtains can be really important. A sleep mask. I wear a sleep mask. My wife likes to have the TV on to go to bed. I can't stand that, so easy compromise. I just get a really good blackout mask in it, and I wouldn't go without it now. It helps a ton. One thing I would also say is that if you haven't thought about this, is if you snore or you suspect you may have sleep apnea, go get it checked. Go get a sleep study done. And if you need a CPAP, get that fucking thing, because it will make a huge difference for you. I don't care how uncomfortable you think it might be or bulky it might be. It's a game changer. I've been sleeping with a CPAP since 2014, and I wouldn't go without it now. My doctor, in fact, told me that the reason for my sleep apnea is mainly my tonsils. I just have large tonsils, and the only way to really clear that out would be to remove those, and I don't really see the need to do that, at least right now. So yeah, definitely if you have sleep apnea or you suspect you do, go get it addressed and get that taken care of, because you will sleep so much better, and you'll hate me for it in a sleep study, but you'll thank me for it when you start getting that great sleep. The other thing is the temperature. I mean, you want it to be a cold room. You know, 67, I think, is the number that I've read as far as what's often recommended. Our body does like to cool down to get ready for sleep. Another little hack is about 30 minutes to an hour before you go to bed, a hot bath or a hot shower, because that's going to cause that rebound effect where your body will start to cool off and prime you for sleep. So a nice little hack there. But yeah, definitely want a cold room. I set our thermostat to 66, and then we just get under the covers, and it's pretty good. Yes, it's cold initially, but typically get a lot better sleep the colder it is. Also, now this is a personal preference, and this is going to be something that you have to figure out for yourself, is do you have any ambient noise? I have to have some kind of white noise. I have a box fan app on my phone that I use, and it's extremely helpful. And if that thing cuts off, I wake up immediately. I've been using a box fan for probably about 25 years or so. My first experience with them was at the fire department. I wondered why everybody had box fans in their bunk. And after one night of probably the worst snoring I think I've ever heard in my life, I quickly understood how important those box fans can be, and I still sleep with it to this day. It's just an app on my phone. Whatever works for you, find something that works for you and go from there. Now, some people will talk about some extreme things like eliminating all electronics from the room, your phone from the nightstand. I do think there's probably merit to that. There's benefit to that, but my alarm's on my phone, and my app is on my phone. So yeah, I sleep with my phone by my bed, and I don't think it really disrupts anything because I'm not getting up and checking it. That's a tomorrow problem, essentially. So hey, these are the 5 tips. If you're dealing with chronic pain and you found it frustrating that healthcare providers have not empowered you on what to do to get stronger and to get fitter and healthier, comment below, share your experience. I'd love to hear about it. And if you're curious more about how to implement some of these strategies to get more fit, to get strong and healthy, also comment below. Let's start a discussion and see how I can help. I'll see you in the next video.